You know, Alex, I spent 3 hours yesterday trying to find a very specific shade of bruised plum filament for a client's model. I ended up with something that looked more like a dehydrated eggplant. It was pathetic.
A dehydrated eggplant? That's oddly specific, Tiger. Did the client actually pay for that, or is it currently holding up a wobbly leg on your workbench?
It's a doorstop now. But that's the beauty of today's lead story. We are officially graduating from the primary school box of crayons in 3D printing. Researchers just figured out filament interpolation. They're taking 5 base colors and blending them at the nozzle, kind of like how an old school inkjet printer works, to pull 292 distinct colors out of thin air.
Wait, so instead of me having 20 half-empty spools of almost teal and not quite navy taking up shelf space, I just need 5?
Exactly, it's like having a master painter living inside your extruder, and they've paired it with this color stack software. You can take a 3D scan of, say, a rusted out vintage carburetor, or even a character from a video game, and the software translates every scratch and grease stain into that multicolored data. No more painting by hand with a shaky thumb and a prayer.
I've seen your hand painting, Tiger. A shaky thumb is being generous, but isn't the real bottleneck always the cost? These fancy multi-material setups usually eat your wallet before you even hit print.
Usually, yeah, it's a rich man's game until it isn't. But check this out, the Peoply Giga 800 popped up on the radar. This thing is a beast. It has an 800 millimeter build volume. I could practically print a new sidecar for my motorcycle in that thing, and instead of those tiny expensive spools, it runs on industrial pellets.
Pellets? Like the stuff they use for wood stoves?
Same concept, different material. It's raw plastic. You're cutting your material cost by nearly 90%. It's moving away from being a hobbyist toy and becoming a legitimate manufacturing cell. Imagine spitting out 3 kilograms of material an hour. That's not a hobby, that's a factory.
Okay, so you're printing motorcycle parts and eggplant doorstops. But some of us actually like the smell of burning metal and the sound of an angle grinder. What's happening in the world of real deal trades?
Real deal, I see how it is. Well, for the folks who prefer sparks to pixels, the American Welding Society is making a huge noise this month about the CBY, the Certified Welding Inspector credential.
I've heard about that. That's the final boss of the welding world, right?
It really is. It's the difference between being the person under the hood getting hit by slag and being the person in the clean shirt with the clipboard deciding if that bridge is actually going to stay up. It's a massive jump in pay, but more importantly, it's a jump in longevity. Your knees can only take so many years of crawling inside pressure vessels.
So is it just a test of how well you can spot a bad bead?
It's way more cerebral than that. You're looking at metallurgy, blueprints, safety codes. It's like being a forensic scientist for metal. And the AWS is pushing hard on digital inspection tools now. If you're already a CWI, you've got to get tech literate. We're talking about using ultrasonic sensors and digital imaging to see inside a weld. If you can master that, you aren't just a welder, you're an elite asset.
I love that. Moving from doing the work to knowing the work. But let's talk about the mogul side of things. Not everyone wants to be at a job site at 5 a.m.
This is the part that gets my blood pumping, Alex. Finding money where people see trash. The goal is always to drop your cost of goods sold to zero. I'm seeing makers lately who are basically becoming urban miners.
You mean diving into dumpsters? Because I draw the line at dumpster diving, Tiger.
No, it's much more sophisticated. These folks are partnering with local businesses as recycling consultants. Companies pay thousands to get rid of old server racks and e-waste. You come in, take it for free, or even get paid to haul it, and then you strip it. Vintage circuit boards have gold, palladium, and copper. Not to mention, those old high-end server components, people on eBay flip those for a fortune to collectors or people repairing legacy systems.
So you're getting paid to take the inventory and then getting paid again to sell it? That's almost unfair.
It's the ultimate arbitrage. And if you don't want to mess with old electronics, there's the Sue Antinori method. She's been using platforms like Auction Ninja to run estate sales.
Wait, like clearing out someone's house when they move or pass away? That sounds heavy.
It's a service, though. Families are often overwhelmed. If you have an eye for value, if you know that a dusty old mid-century modern chair in the corner is actually worth $2,000, you can manage the liquidation. I've seen people pull $5,000 in a single weekend just by organizing and photographing an estate.
$5,000 in a weekend? Okay, I might have to put down the microphone and go find some dusty chairs.
Well, before you quit your day job, you have to be able to spot the gems from the junk. It's a skill, just like knowing how to frame a wall.
Speaking of framing, you were talking earlier about level 2 DIY projects. Is this where we finally stop building birdhouses and start messing with our actual houses?
Precisely. We're talking about the half wall hack.
Isn't that just a wall that stopped growing?
That's one way to put it. But in architectural terms, a knee wall is a game changer for open concept homes. It defines a space like separating a kitchen from a living area without blocking the light or the conversation. I used Planner 5D to mock one up for a buddy last week. It's the perfect project for someone who knows how to use a miter saw, but is terrified of touching a load-bearing wall.
So you just bolt it to the floor and you're a professional contractor?
Not quite that simple. You've got to find the joists, level everything, and make sure your top cap is pretty enough that your spouse doesn't complain. But here's the secret sauce, the thing that separates the weekend warriors from the pros: documentation.
Oh boy, here come the cameras.
I'm serious. We had some talk about this at the Patreon summit. If you spend 48 hours building a beautiful half wall and you don't set up a tripod, you're missing out on half the value. A 30-second time lapse of that build is worth more in social currency and future clients than the wall itself.
So basically, if there's no video of it, did the wall even happen?
Exactly. It's 2026, Alex. You have to be the craftsman and the cinematographer. I remember one time I spent 3 days rebuilding a custom walnut vanity. It was perfect. The grain match was seamless. I was so proud. And then I realized I forgot to hit record on the GoPro. I almost threw my hammer through the window.
I would have paid to see that video. Tiger loses his mind over a walnut cabinet.
It would have gone viral for all the wrong reasons. But that's the lesson. Whether you're welding a high-pressure pipe, flipping an old server, or framing a knee wall, there's a story there. And in this economy, the story is what people buy.
I think that's a good place to wrap it. So what's the big takeaway for the TigerDen fam today?
Honestly, don't be afraid to change your base colors. Whether that's literal filament in a printer or switching your career from laying beads to inspecting them. The most dangerous tool in your shop isn't the table saw, it's the habit of doing things the way you did them yesterday just because it's comfortable.
Deep thoughts from the man with the dehydrated eggplant doorstop.
Hey, it works. It's a very heavy eggplant.
Thanks for joining us in the den. Get out there, build something that lasts, and for goodness sake, hit the record button.
We'll see you in the shop.